Thank you, Simon. Thank you all for showing up here. I think you were forced to come, I'm sure. Hopefully there's a pizza or something at the end of it. Okay, but an introduction on myself. Like Simon said, Revathi Advaithi. I've been with Flex for now 6 years. This is my 6th year. But have a little bit of background in the electrical business. So my last job before I came to Flex was heading the electrical business for Eaton. Some of you probably have seen their products here that you've assembled into your products. So that was my last job. So I'm very well aware of the things you build here and you put together here. It's a very important piece of my history, and I love the kind of power business in general. But what else about me? Like Simon said, I started my job in a shop floor factory, and basically, have grown up through different jobs in the shop floor. Did everything from being a quality engineer to a product line manager, and then actually lived in the UK here near Portsmouth in Havant for 3 years. And that's where my first child was born, actually, my son. He was actually born just like this. I was in an all-employee meeting doing a speech like this, and then I started labor just as I was standing on the stage. No danger of that. I'm too old to deliver a child anymore. So so lived here for 3 years, and looks like I brought the same weather back here 23 years later. But loved my time here, again with Eaton. And so now I have 2 kids, my older son, 23, and then I have a daughter, 19. She keeps me busy like every teenage daughter is supposed to do. So even before I came here, I was packing on Sunday. She had a meltdown before I left about something she wanted to get that I said no. So that's most of my life. But my real job is running Flex. So let me talk about Flex here. So as all of you are probably aware, Flextronics, we're around $26 billion business based on the day. And around, I think this year will be around 140,000 employees across the globe, around 100 plus facilities. I'd say 70, 80 pretty large facilities, and the rest much smaller ones across the world. And pretty equal presence between Asia Pacific and Europe and North America. I'd say in terms of distribution of employees, of the 140,000 people, pretty well distributed across the globe. And Flex itself operates in, I like to think of it as kind of 5 major end markets. And I always say that if you see some product in your house, Flex probably made it because we make a little bit of everything. So you think about those 5 different end markets. One of them is consumer products. So we make, everything from coffee machines to vacuum cleaners to hair dryers, hair straighteners, all of that in the consumer product space. We used to make a lot of cell phones. We don't make that anymore. So that's one of our biggest consumer products, is one of our bigger businesses. And then the other next one is more in the technology space. And where we would do things like put together server products, storage products, switching products for customers like data centers. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We're also one of the largest health device manufacturers in the world. So we make everything from medical equipment that is used in hospitals, and we make little tiny medical devices, millions of them. So if any of you use glucose monitors that you put in your body, Flex probably makes it. Very complex high scale, high volume, intricate manufacturing that we make in Austin and Chicago. So we're a big health medical device manufacturer. We're also one of the larger automotive manufacturers in the world. So what we put together, component manufacturers, we put together compute modules for cars. We put together power electronics for cars. We do everything from mirror control actuators. So a very, very large automotive component company too. And then lastly, the business that Chris Butler, who is here, runs is our industrial business, where we have two parts of our industrial business. Obviously, one is where we do contract manufacturing for companies who want like inverters or energy meters or charging stations or things like that. And then our power business, which is Anord Mardix, and also we make embedded power that goes within the racks, is our power business. So if you think about Flex, like I said, we make a little bit of everything across the world. We make little things, we make gigantic things like this. And in the data center space, which is kind of where Anord fits in, we not only do what Anord Mardix does, but we also do what I just talked about a second ago, which is embedded power, which is the power that goes within the rack itself, which is a very interesting space to be in. Chris runs that business too, because now, since all of you are listening so much to what's happening with data centers, everybody wants more and more and more power. And companies like NVIDIA are talking about eventually having a 250 kilowatt rack someday, power rack someday, which is hard to imagine from where we are today. So we have a business that Chris runs that actually manufactures that. But we also do full integration of kind of storage, server devices, power shelves, integrating all those racks together and putting it in hyperscale customers like Google and Amazon. And we have very large factories that do that integration and deliver that to hyperscale customers. So our data center business is around $3 billion, of which a couple billion sits in the CEC business, where we do the integration that I just talked about, and $1 billion sits in terms of the power space. It is one of our largest growing businesses. We expect that whole space is going to grow at around 20% every year for the next few years. And so we're very excited about the opportunity. The biggest challenge that data center customers face today is availability of power. Very hard to get power to what they need. The GPUs are consuming a lot of power, so they're escalating very fast in terms of being very power hungry. And then the long lead times with some of the components that you put together, transformers and medium voltage switchgear, UPSs are all still one of the longest lead time. So those are the constraints that they face. So for us, let me give you a brief kind of view on why we bought Anord Mardix a few years ago. One is, of course, I was missing my old job of running the power business for Eaton. And when I had known about Anord Mardix a long time ago from my prior role, had looked at kind of buying them in a previous life. And when it came along, it fit within this idea of trying to build out our data center portfolio, because we knew that we have a big presence in data center integration. It was going to get more and more power hungry. So when Anord came along, we were like, okay, this is fantastic. Let's make this acquisition because it really fits into our overall data center business. Today, we feel like as we stand today in terms of this $3 billion data center space, we have a pretty good sized portfolio. What we'd like to do is plug some of the gaps we have. So we will be continuing to look for some acquisitions to see if we can plug some of the holes we have in our overall portfolio. Not sure it can be done because, as you know, it's really hard to go buy a transformer company or a UPS company because there are not many companies like that around. But we're looking to see how do you plug all the gaps we have, what are the different cooling solutions we need to have, And then we want to put together an M&A strategy, if possible, in the data center space. If not, we think we can plug gaps through partnerships and all of that also, and really committed to kind of growing the overall data center space from $3 billion to something bigger if it's going to grow at the 20% rate that we see moving forward. So very excited that Anord Mardix is part of our family. Chris told me that as we were walking up here, I asked him how much did Anord grow last year. He said 55%. And this year, it looks like you guys are sandbagging and making a less commitment of growing, like 30%? I don't know why you can't grow 55 again. It feels like customers want you to grow 55%. So the good news is we have a lot of growth ahead of us. I think that's good news. And the challenge is going to be continuing to deliver good quality product to our customers, and making sure that we keep up the name that this business has developed over time, and we have the same quality of delivery and service that we have had over the last few years. So, lastly, I'll close with the most important thing to me, I always say all the time, is the culture of any business. I grew up in the shop floor, and I always say that if you feel like you don't fit or you don't belong or you don't have the right culture, particularly in a global company like ours, it never works. So our values that we talk about, which is doing the right thing, supporting each other, those values are really important to us. And hopefully, as being part of the Flex family, you're all embracing that set of values. And I just want to close by saying thank you for your hard work and dedication. Your business is growing amazingly well. We are proud of that. And I know that requires hard work from all of you, and many hours that you put in, and the passion you have for doing it well. So personally, from my side, thank you so much. And looking forward to coming back when this is double the size of what it is today. So, and I'm sure that with all the opportunities ahead of you, that is definitely going to happen. So thank you all for coming, and thanks for taking the time.